Good evening, Keto and Wrestling family. MATTROISE here with another live stream tonight of Dark Side of the Ring, Season 4, Episode 10, the season finale, Marty Jannetty, live. Please allow me to be your eyes and ears for this broadcast, and I'll give you play-by-play, let you know what's going on. Let's begin the show.
Marty Jannetty and Shawn
Hey,
Michaels
what's up, Robert?
tag teams of the WWF's golden era.
Yo, Dro, Garrett.
Their high-flying moves and glam rock style.
Stay too quiet.
Heartthrobs and wrestling superstars.
An arena of 15 to 20,000 screaming people. You don't even get that kind of hype from drugs. They've got that charisma that people love.
And the outfit and the hair and the smile.
After a shocking betrayal, only Shawn would ascend to the dizzying heights of fame that Marty had always craved.
Marty just let him walk all over him and just steal away his life.
Driven by an insatiable desire to reclaim his former success, Marty spirals down a destructive path of self-sabotage.
I get in a lot of trouble for my outside ring antics.
He takes everything to the extreme. It's all about getting that reaction. The problem is you get hooked onto that.
Sometimes Marty just his own worst enemy.
Burdened with health issues, Marty ignites a storm of controversy that threatens to consume his legacy, bringing him face to face with a secret that has haunted him for over 50 years.
He suggested he committed murder.
I was only trying to beat his ass. I wasn't trying to kill him.
I mean, he said a lot of crazy things, so we can only hope that there's no truth to any of it.
Trying to decipher fact from fiction is part of the game, too.
Wait, so did this happen?
I mean, it could have. How you doing, brother? See you, man. Damn, how many cameras we got? 48 today. I am MJ in the house, otherwise known as Marty Jannetty, one of the rockers from back in the day. This morning was rough. Like instant nerve. I can touch it right now. Right there's the worst point. Man, I can't wait till it heals, all the way so we can cut it open and put the joint back in.
He's a very charismatic, very charming individual. My name is Al Snow, former WWE superstar.
What does everybody want?
I've been a professional wrestler for going on 41 years, and at one time I was Marty Jannetty's partner in the New Rockers. And on that run, that was where Marty hurt his ankle. I really severely rolled it.
And Marty Jannetty collapsing into the rope.
Over the years, just got progressively worse and worse.
Yeah. I've known Marty Jannetty since really high school is where we played football together and just were in the same class. I'm Lee McCluskey. I'm an orthopedic surgeon, do mostly foot and ankle work. Marty he was a fantastic athlete, first of all, wrestling, of course, in high school. He had a lot of interaction with my brothers playing ball and so forth. I'm George McCluskey, and I'm a shoulder and elbow surgeon in Columbus, Georgia. Most people have one problem in one shoulder or one problem in one foot or ankle, but he's got about 6 or 7 things. MJ's up in the house.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what kind of pain would you say Marty is under right now?
12. On a good day. Your body can only take so many slams, and I took quite a few. The ankles were bound to go, and we're working on those now. I had joint replacement in the right ankle, reconstructive on the left. Both shoulders are kind of torn up. I remember him as being a very aggressive football player. Probably took sports more seriously than he did school. A little on the wild side. I remember we were chemistry lab, we were doing some experiments, and he said, "Hey, whatever you guys do now, do not put the blue chemicals in with the orange chemicals." And he didn't say why. And I thought, well,
like to know why. Well, I took the two chemicals and mixed them together, and wham!
Ow.
One girl, she got plucked back a few feet. The window that was behind me blew out, and I got stuff on me from the explosion. I was all over the school. Everybody's like, man, Jannetty blew up the lab. Did you hear about Jannetty blew up the lab? I don't think anybody else ever tried to mix the blue and orange.
You can't believe 99% of what Marty's, talking about. My name is Karen Walker, and I've known Marty for upwards of 40 years.
Marty's
He
friend.
comes up with some of the strangest things, Marty just walks up and talks to you. It's probably all a big story that he's making up as he goes along.
Actually, I was 13 and 12 when I'd come over, and the hookers would give me freebies. I thought it was cute. Donald Trump was coming towards me smiling. How you doing, Marty? You always got a pretty girl under your arms. I got talked into going to a sex addiction clinic, and I ended up dating my counselor.
He puts on a show for every single person he comes in contact to. So if you don't know him intimately, you don't know the gentle side, the kind side, the side that gets his feelings hurt.
Growing up, my mom and dad had a lot of issues with each other, and we struggled a lot. My dad would never let my mom beat on me. She would always have to wait till he went to work. So I would hide it from him so that they wouldn't get in a fight.
It was a tough upbringing. I mean, he's got some bad stories. My name is Mean Mike Moran, and I wrestled for WCW as one half of the Disorderly Conduct, and I also wrestled for 20 plus years as one half of the Texas Hangman. I met Marty in 1984. It was both our first territories, our first opportunities. Here we are 39 years later, still friends. Marty's mom was very abusive. His dad he loved to death, but his dad wasn't always there. I think that honestly athletics got him out of there. I mean, he was a good athlete, thankfully. And he punched his ticket and got to see the world and get the hell out of Columbus.
Determined to channel his natural athleticism into a pro wrestling career, Marty picks up the trade from veteran Jerry Oates before making his debut in 1983 in Mid-South.
A great maneuver by Marty Oates.
After jumping to Central States Wrestling in Kansas City, Marty's invited to mentor another young wrestler.
So I'm looking for him in the dressing room. I don't know who I'm looking for. I went up to this one guy because he looked shy and quiet, kind of standoffish. He was sort of nerdy, he had just blue jeans pulled up, up under his chest with a big belt buckle, short hair, and I felt comfortable go asking, like, hey man, Shawn Michaels around here? Shawn Michaels, well, I'm Shawn Michaels. And I'm thinking I'm supposed to hang out with him and show him around. Well, it's gonna take some work. From there, it was probably 2 weeks later. They said, you guys get together for a tag match. We went out there, and it was like magic. Just like telepathy, we already knew what we were thinking. When we tapped, he goes, did you feel something there? Yeah, that's different.
The Midnight Rockers.
Those guys were incredible. My name is Pat Tanaka. I've wrestled for many decades, and I guess people would know me best because I've wrestled the Rockers for many, many years.
Look out!
Marty and Sean would run out. All you heard was just loud, high-pitched screams of girls going crazy.
Marty just seemed like he was out there having fun and just doing what he knew how to do. I am Bruce the Barber Beefcake, WWE Hall of Famer.
Welcome to the barbershop, ladies and gentlemen.
And I am Missy Beefcake, also known as the Delish. Marty had this thing where you just, no matter where he was in the ring, you couldn't take your eyes off of him. He'd go here or there, and he just, made you want to look and, maybe even like undress him with your eyes and wonder like what else was going on in that, little outfit he was wearing.
I was in heaven having all these girls around us for several states.
I got into like middle school and I got a crush on Kerry Von Erich, you know? And I went to see Kerry Von Erich one night and Marty was there and I saw him and I was like, oh my God, that's a Greek god. I'm gonna go home and throw rocks at my boyfriend. Yeah, and he was looking at me the same way. So we ended up getting together that night and I'm his forever wifey, by the way.
Every time I went to St. Louis, I would see her. We hit it off and
Like a girlfriend.
yeah, well, for St. Louis, you know.
From 15 feet above us.
Marty and Shawn have a stellar run in the AWA, culminating in a violent match that gets the attention of Vince McMahon. Dropping midnight from their name, the Rockers are signed to the WWF.
And I think this is well known through the wrestling world what happened our first day in there.
It was common for all the wrestlers to go out, party, you know, rumble around, but to the extent that Marty and Shawn would go, it was ridiculous.
We had great times. I mean, we got great times. But yeah, that's the only way I can say it without getting myself in trouble.
To celebrate their first night in the company, Marty and Shawn joined their new colleagues at a bar, but their notorious reputation for partying precedes them.
Jimmy Jack Funk comes up. Hey, I heard you guys are partiers, huh? Y'all supposed to be some big partiers. He goes, yeah, let me see you do this. And he takes a glass. He bit the glass.
Wow.
And Shawn's like, well, I can't do that, but I can do this. He took a wine glass, breaks it over his head.
Wow.
And then they ended up throwing some shot glasses, I believe, over the bar at the Mirror.
They would tear things up,
Wow.
they would fight, they would bleed everywhere. I mean, like, just like they were in a wrestling ring. Throw each other around and stuff. Just get so messed up.
And that's why they were booted out, because they were just too wild.
If we just got one day and out on this one day and done for WWE, now what do we do?
Well, that was, this is an interesting show to say the least. How's everyone doing tonight? What's up, Robert? What's up, Rorito? Jacob, Dro Davidian. Stay too quiet. What's going on, everybody? Well, that's great, Dro. We're going to wish you a happy birthday on SmackDown. Okay, Rory asked the question, why do you think Marty was a better wrestler? I just feel like he had the the move set that I just feel like he was more of a mat technician, and I feel like he was able, and he was also a high flyer too. But I feel like he could have been as popular as Shawn Michaels, in my opinion. Okay, we got a lot of questions here. Let's get to them. Okay, Rory asked thoughts on Brett's site. I think it's awesome. Rory asked, do I think HBK was a negative influence on Marty? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, but you know, Marty's his own man, too. Or he asks, who would you have had tag with Marty besides HBK? Bret Hart. Rory asks, am I going to use Robert's belt designs? I don't know if I'm going to use them yet, but maybe a variation of them, because they look really nice. So I'm going to think about it, to be honest. And Rory asks, who are your top 6 tag teams all time in order? Let's see. Brothers of Destruction, number 6. Number 5, Demolition. Number 4, LOD, Legion of Doom. Number 3, the Hart Foundation. Number 2, the Rockers. Number 1, the Steiner Brothers. Roy, yeah, work was okay, not bad. Thanks for asking, bro. Roy asks, how's your family? Family's doing well. Thanks for asking. I hope your family's doing well as well. Yeah, Robert, yeah, leave Cassidy or... Yeah, I wasn't a fan. What did I think of the new Rockers, Roy? Yes, I didn't... I never really took a liking to them, honestly. It's like Robert said, they were bland. Or yes, what were your first thoughts when you saw HBK put Marty through the glass? I thought it was the most devastating thing I've seen in wrestling at that time. It was a shock. All right, we're back.
WWF, Marty Jannetty and Shawn
More
Michaels
questions
are
after
fighting
this.
for their wild and out of control antics.
And, I mean, what kind of luck? You know, that gat luck that I talk about? I've not explained gat yet, have I? I'm going to bring it up as many times as I can because it's a factor that exists. I'm chasing up in this house. We are gathered here today in the Holy Spirit of gat. This stands for God's amusement toy. When God gets a little bored with his natural disasters, where's Jannetty? And I'll be just strutting down the street minding my own business, and all of a sudden, he throws a couple bolts of lightning on my, and he just sits there and giggles.
Gat, back at Gat again. Gat, because he can't accept responsibility, so it's got to be somebody's fault, so it must be God who's always turning the tables on him. And it's like, no, it's you.
I do believe Marty has had some bad luck, no doubt about it. But I also believe, and I've told Marty this, that a lot of the decisions you've made have caused the problems you have, and you need to stop blaming Gat.
His worst quality is Marty's own worst enemy.
Marty.
Gone from the WWF, Marty and Shawn sign with a much smaller promotion, Continental Wrestling.
You know, that's your career. We beat them all.
Where they struggle to make ends meet. But after a year of impressing the crowds, they once again attract the attention of Vince McMahon, leading to a second chance with the company.
Well, if you got talent, you get many chances in any sport. They just kept moving up and up and up on the card. Women loved them. The guys wanted to be them. I mean, the Rockers were truly on their way.
We back down from nobody, and the future has a lot to hold for the Rockers. We are the masters of motion, and whether it be for business or pleasure, we have all the right moves. During the Survivor Series, Lord Alfred Hayes.
The girls that were chasing the guys around the 80s and the 90s were, you know, models stuff.
Strippers.
We always party together. I mean, we used to have like, 20, 30 girls down the pool. I was getting tired and I said, Marty, I'm gonna lay down for a minute. So I lay down, I closed my eye, and all of a sudden he has his pistol in his hand, he just starts going bam, 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 bam.
Whoa.
Shooting at him, with everything. I jumped off, I thought he shot me. He was trying to wake me up. He didn't want me to go to sleep. Jesus Christ, I had a heart attack, man. When he had done that, he shot his car, put a hole in his bedroom, through the glass windows, and he got mad at me. You wouldn't have laid down, I wouldn't have had to done that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Marty was crazy, man. We had so much fun.
When Marty and Shawn were really hitting it out of the park, they'd go to the hotel, they'd take a girl to the room, and there were girls lined up in the hallway waiting to go and take their turn at bat.
Like, we were on the road 300 days a year. We partied 290 of them. And Shawn and I, we were like brothers. We would room together, we would rent a car together, we'd go eat together, we'd go to the gym together. A lot of women we did together. And at one point, you couldn't have been a closer, couple of guys in wrestling.
As their popularity soars, Marty and Shawn reach the pinnacle of their careers as a tag team. But on December 11th, 1990, a tragic incident threatens to derail their momentum.
Chuck Austin is his name. I had to show him there's this move I do for the finish, and there's a rocker dropper.
Yeah, look at this, here we go! Yeah!
I was going stepping through it. He goes, "Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've done it before." Well, and I know exactly what went wrong. Right before, I was going off the second rope and come down, grab by the back of the head and drive down like a bulldog sort of type of thing. Well, he took that decent, and the crowd popped. It looked good. So when I got him up in for the rocker dropper, he was all excited, wanted to make sure he got that same pop. But see, he stood all the way up and dove down.
Oh.
Dove straight into the ring and broke his neck.
I go to roll him over. I stepped over him. I saw his legs crossed, and I saw him. He was laying there and he picked his arms up and like wiggle his fingers. And I tagged Sean. I said, "I think he might be hurt, man." And Sean did great. He dove off the top. He did not touch him at all. And he covered for the pin. And he was still laying there. He hasn't moved, and so we got out the ring. So by the time I got in the back, everybody's gathered around the monitors looking. But he has not moved his legs. They're still crossed. He's not moved from the spot. I took him in the back and got him on a helicopter. And I'm watching all that. And just thinking, man, I caused that.
His job was to lose, but he lost more than he bargained for.
And Chuck says he expressed reservations about having to fall to the mat without using his hands to break his fall.
I questioned him several times, and he told me he was professional and he would protect me. When I hit the mat, I knew my neck was broken. I find out 6 months later, they're suing us.
Whoa.
For $10 million. The jury, they know what they saw on the TV, you know, because they had the TV monitor and they showed them, and they reacted on that. I did too, but oh God. And if they don't see it done right, it looks sickening to see.
There's a story that Dean Malenko came into the...
Yeah, Dean come in and they told the jury, well, now you're going to see the move. Brought the mat in, did the rocker dropper there. The jury just sat there like, just looking, but it was just no reaction, none. And for wrestlers, that's the worst thing. You either want a yay or a boo. You don't want just nothing. It was 7 days worth of trial. We're done. They got the judgment. And it was probably 20 minutes. When they come down and say, we're ready. You know, it's hard to get 2 people to agree. Get 12 people, and you're ready in 20 minutes.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like it was good. Jeez. All right, let's continue with these amazing questions here, guys. You guys have any questions, put them in the chat. I'll definitely answer them. What's up, Bruce Jarvis? What's up, Mike Harper? The global champ is here. Okay, we got thoughts on the Big Boss Man and Mountie characters. I was a fan of the Big Boss Man, but not the Mountie. Robert says the heavenly bodies were okay at best. I'd say so. Big Boss Man was great before the heel turn. Oh yeah, definitely. Or he asks, in your eyes, what were the 3 misused tag teams in the 1980s? That's a good question. You know, I'm not. I mean, personally, I think the Rockers deserved more. Because I don't even think the Rockers were tag team champions in WWF, if I'm not mistaken. And if I think of any 2 other tag teams, I will let you know. That's right. That's right. We got a stream tonight. Mike Harper's going to do a Wrestling Week in Review podcast live stream on Saturday. That's awesome, bro. We'll drop your link in the chat so everyone could support you. Robert says Marty was flashier than Shawn Michaels but had no character. Yeah, I guess the charisma part comes into play with that. Yeah. Can I make a rule where people can no longer beg for points? Can only ask for points once during each stream. Well, you know, it's up to everyone. You know, you gotta do whatever you could do to get points. You know, I don't mind if you ask for points. I mean, it doesn't matter how you get to the top. It's if you get to the top, you know. So it doesn't matter. What's up, Jasmine Freeman? He was awarded $26.5 million. The guy Chuck Austin?
We find WWE 90% negligent. We find Chuck Austin 5%, Marty Jannetty 5% negligent. We find Chuck Austin $24 million. I jumped up, and I was going to say, they were suing for 10. You know, my lawyer said, sit down, we'll appeal. We appealed. They called me and said they're willing to make a settlement for $10 million. You mean I got paid 5% on that? I think they said they would just take it out of my royalty checks. I just didn't get as much pay as I was supposed to get for a while. The judge dismissed the charge and says, you're out of it. There's not no evidence against you. That's the luck of Sean. I've said this a million times, and everybody knows him will agree. He can step in shit and come out smelling like a rose.
Sean.
I'm not a Sean fan at all, not even this much. He was egotistical. He was, you know, the heartbreak kid kind of attitude. Well, that's his real attitude. That wasn't a show.
I mean, he was always a little cocky and arrogant, but, you know, that's my brother. He's good to me. Then he started getting edgy towards me.
He would get aggravated when Marty'd overdo something. But on Sean's behalf, he didn't have quite as bad of a habit as Marty did.
I couldn't list the number of drugs Marty's probably done. I know cocaine, crack, somas, halcyons.
Wow.
I saw him take a lot of halcyon, the heavy-duty tranquilizer, and he was laying on the floor with the pills spilled everywhere. I had to call Sean and tell Sean, what do I do? Do I call an ambulance? Do I call a cop? What do I do? And he's like, don't call nobody. Him and Jimmy Snuka, they just bust through the door and grabbed him and got him in the shower and stuff. And I cleaned the room, got the pills, and, you know, I was just somewhere else, you know. Oh my God, you know, he almost died.
I think maybe it was that Sean thought that Marty was going to screw up really bad because some of the shit that he did was, you know, crazy.
Like most partners do, because I'm in a tag team, Marty and Sean started butting heads a little bit and escalated to where they actually had a physical fight in a hotel.
Marty came in drunk, bumping all over, cussing Sean. And then here comes Sean and runs across the room and hits Marty, knocks him out a window.
Wow.
Luckily, we were down low, and he hit the bushes and crawled back through the window, got up in Sean's face and said, think you can do it again? Marty gets up and walks out the door. Sean walks out behind him. Next thing you know, I look out there, and Marty's got Sean on the ground. He's got his knees on his arms, and he's choking him. And he's already purple.
Marty just said he just remembers looking down and seeing his jeans were all bloody and it wasn't his blood.
Should have never happened, but it did, and you know, Sean had to miss a few days on the road from it.
And I think that was a catalyst to their end of their partnership, because you know what, if you get your ass kicked by your partner, it's kind of hard to go back to normal.
We met with Vince, and Vince is like, trying to find a way to split you guys up and take you into singles. I said, Sean, I need to talk about that first. Sean's like, I'm okay with it. Right there. I mean, like, wow, man. I said, well, where are we going to go with this? And, you know, Vince was saying, well, I see Sean being a superstar, and I just don't quite see that in you right now, Marty.
Could that have crushed him, or what?
Wow.
Vince just saw something more in Sean, and I think that probably Sean was in Vince's ear or ass more than Marty was.
I hate to say, use this expression, but kissing ass.
Yeah, I said, what are we doing, me? Because, see, I figured, okay, you're going to use me to get him over, then shit, Cammy, I ain't going to do it. But if you're keeping me aboard, you know, of course I'll do it.
Although there has been a great deal of speculation as of late that maybe there's a little trouble there between the Rockers. What do you know about it? Any rumors? Have you heard anything?
They were planting the seeds in matches prior where Marty and Sean had a little dust up.
There was speculation of Marty.
And Sean would always be the one that was initiating or getting angry or more frustrated.
Of course, the magazines were running with the story, how we were jealous of each other, who had prettier girls.
The rumors about them are true. They don't get along at all.
They had the barber shop, which was Bruce the Barber Beefcake's kind of like talk show.
Let's welcome them right now. They're the Rockers.
And that was the pinnacle of the turn.
You've been having some problems, but I want to get you out here on the barber shop so we can talk about this thing and get it all straight once and for all.
Before that day, I had no idea that that was going to happen.
I don't want to put the blame back and forth, just like you said. I'll take the blame. I'm sorry. I want this thing to work with the Rockers. And if you want to go on your own, then walk off and leave. If you want to stick together and make this thing work, when I turn around, we're going to shake hands, and we're going to go on and rock and roll like the Rockers can do.
He waits a second, listens to the crowd, saying, you know, stay together, stay together. And he spins me around, shake hands.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Told you. You know, and the crowd goes crazy. I look that way, and he turns, wham!
Oh, I knew he was going to do that. I just knew he was going to do that.
He kicked me so hard I didn't feel the glass.
Right through the glass window of the barber shop.
The fans didn't want the team to break up, no doubt. Nobody saw it coming.
That's, you know, which really made it the moment. It, in a way, it really broke my heart.
Oh, he's hurt.
I think we seemed like best friends, you know, to the people. You know, so it really kind of broke their heart for us to split, but then to split that way.
What a despicable act that was.
It was a career-defining moment for both of them, but in really, I hate to say it, I mean, in two different ways. For Sean, it was, you know, a launching pad, and he took it.
It's a problem for you, Sean. Rockers are history.
And Marty, if could have just stayed out of his own way, could have had the same ascension as what Sean did. And I think that's where you could see the two, you know, go different paths.
I don't think Marty had the opportunity that Sean had. What's up, Cam the Fam? All right, let's see what amazing questions we have here. Jay is cracked. Oh yeah, Jay. Well, that's awesome, bro. Great to see you. Danny S, have I had a fortune cookie today? You know how it rolls, Danny. Dro asks, have I ever heard of Ruth Chris? Yes, I have, and I've had it too. It's very good. It's expensive though, but it's good. Robert says, this is why WWE doesn't allow untrained marks to compete in any capacity anymore. Also, Mike Harper laid down the challenge for Rorito for the global title. Wow, that's a challenge. I don't know if Rory wants to put his career on the line for that. I mean, you know, that's up to him, though. Please keep Puerto Rico in your thoughts during this hurricane season. Oh, you got it, Rory. Hope everything works out. Chuck Austin lied about being a trained wrestler, Robert says. Definitely, Garrett. Yeah, Marty did have a lot of problems for years. The best fan. Yeah, it's great to see Marty after all this time. So Robert says, Marty was given so many chances, he was not the greatest in the locker room or the public. Prevalent drug use on all sides didn't help. Didn't help matters. Yeah, I could agree with that. Rory asked, do I feel Marty was an ass kisser? I would say I don't think he was. Marty seemed to me like the guy that didn't talk much, Robert says. Yeah, I would say so too. Rory asked, do I feel Mr. Perfect character should have been face? No. No, I think it was great to be a heel.
The Rockers finally split, leaving Shawn and Marty to pursue their separate journeys as singles wrestlers.
You know, he was a little upset, and then, then he's going, what's supposed to happen to me? And I said, well, what's going to happen with both of us? We're both going to then get judged on where our careers take us. As you get over it, they're going to use your plans.
Things definitely had changed. It's almost like they weren't a tag team at all. It got a little ugly.
I think Marty resented Shawn at that point, and I think Shawn's trying to distance himself from Marty because he was, making his way up the ladder, and so he was trying to get as far away from him as he could.
Marty lives for the moment. He just makes really bad decisions.
One of the girls I was seeing down in Tampa, we went to a club, and she was a dancer, a stripper, dancer, whatever, exotic dancer, there we go. There was a policeman on the premises, passed me down, and he pulls out a little baggie of cocaine. We got arrested, and I did 6 months house arrest for that.
He's got multiple stories of getting kicked out of multiple countries because he got arrested for doing something.
Hammer's just waiting to get his ass home.
It was in India. It was a 5-star hotel. Marty goes up to a cop.
Can I ride? Can I ride?
Asks if he can ride his motorcycle. I'm sure the cop is thinking he's going to drive down the street. Marty goes up the stairs of this hotel. For some reason, the doorman opens the door.
And there's all these people around the fountain. And then he goes straight inside the lobby.
And then wipes out and knocks one of the dudes into the fountain.
Oh, shoot.
It was just like, did he really do that? I mean,
I thought, he's been in trouble now with the law. They booted him out for a minute.
He and the Iron Sheik, I think he's ahead by one of the number of times that a person's been fired and brought back and fired again and brought back.
Marty Jannetty! That's Marty Jannetty!
And then they did the whole New Rockers thing, which Marty feels Shawn actually was the one who suggested it to kind of sabotage and make people not think of the original Rockers.
Here we go with a new rocker!
The problem was, I don't think Marty was 100% invested in it. I don't blame him. It kind of took a swing at what he and Shawn had accomplished and what they had done.
They'll make you think they're really planning to do something with you, but they're really you're just a filler for the card. And that's when Marty realized it was time to go.
He went to WCW, and it looked like they were really going to get behind him. They were going to try to do something major with him, but Marty kind of got in his own way again.
In WCW, he was in trouble with the law. He'd gotten several DUIs. One led eventually to him losing his license for 10 years.
The contract ran out, and then that was it. He just kind of floundered after that.
Sean Stark was rising without him?
It devastated him to the point where he had posters of Sean on his wall with darts, and he would just try to hit him in the most perfect spots.
By the late 1990s, Marty struggles to compete on the indie circuit and eventually vanishes from the public eye. Following a string of DUI charges, jail stints, and substance abuse issues, Marty spirals for the next 5 years before finally hitting rock bottom.
The first time I'd ever considered ending, life, it was like, I've had enough. What I was going to do is buy the biggest pile of cocaine and just do it until my heart busted. So that was my conversation with the higher power was, you don't want me doing this, you need to let me know. And I'm pretty stupid, so make it obvious. You were given a sign, you make it obvious, my dumbass. And this phone rang, I looked down, didn't recognize the number. And that call that came in was Sean calling me. And he was inviting me to, it's called AIM, it's the Athletes International Ministry. He wanted me to go to that in Phoenix, Arizona. He goes, I'll take care of everything, don't worry about that, but I would like you to be my guest. Before he made that call to me, we ain't talked in person, on the phone in 7, 8 years. And that's when they hit me like, holy shit. I mean, you asked for a sign?
That's a sign right there.
And then I did go out to Arizona, and then, Sean ended up, did the baptized thing where they dunk you in the water. Sean ended up being the one to dunk me in the water. And we did all that, and for like 3 weeks I lived the most pure life. Now that all that has happened, I get a phone call from WWE. They want to do a rocker reunion. Of course, Yeah, so we're at the curtain now. It's a rocker reunion. I've been off TV for so many years. Now it's start getting nervous, and Sean picked up on it. He goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "Man, what if they don't remember me?" And he goes, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "We were the rockers. Nobody's gonna forget us." He said that the music hit. And I go out there and they pop. And I was like, wow. But the amazing thing with Sean and I was how we were so in tune with each other. Like we became one when we tagged together. Even when we bounced over the rope and went down, would be our feet would hit the floor at the same time. Everything was in unison as a one. The next day, that's when they told me, "Well, you hell of a match you had last night. They want to give you a contract. The way we're going to use you, you'll make over $1 million." Couldn't ask for a better, comeback. To end up in jail a week later.
Ended up in jail a week later. Jeez. Yeah, Marty was doing good, and then I remember watching that live in 2005 on USA or whatever network it was on then, but I remember watching that. Okay, Rorito asks, do I feel the Mr. Perfect character should have been face? Yeah, I answered that already. Nope, heel. Thoughts on what made the Mr. McMahon character work, Rory says, because it seemed genuine. The more genuine something is, the better it's going to work. Oh, definitely, I agree with Robert about Mr. Perfect. Rory asks, who do you feel is a better color guy in WWE? Bobby Heenan, Jesse Ventura, or Monsoon? Color guy. I think Bobby the Brain Heenan was probably the best color commentator there ever was. Rory asked, thoughts on Natural Disaster? I thought those guys were gigantic. Hey, that's great, Dro. Enjoy your meal. Ruth Chris's, you're gonna love it. Rory asked, did I like the tugboat character? He wasn't my favorite wrestler, but I feel like he was definitely there, as a mid-card talent. I thought he was okay for what he was. Did you know I have Marty as a friend in Facebook, Rory? You're a friend with Marty Jannetty on Facebook? That's awesome, bro. Did you know Booker T was asked to be part of last week's Dark Side? He declined because they were not going to pay him. You telling me that they don't pay these guys to be on this show? I mean, I thought they pay these guys. Why would the cop lend Marty the motorcycle? Because I guess he knew him from the Rockers. The best fan. That's right. The cop probably regretted giving Marty that motorcycle. Robert says AEW will never be like WCW unless they want to fold in a year. He's got a point there. Robert does. Or yes, do I think the Al Snow head characters would work nowadays like it did during the Attitude Era? No, I don't think it would work today. But it worked great for the Attitude Era. Oh, definitely, Robert Boyston hit the nail on the head right there. That's exactly what would go down. It would be a PR nightmare. Oh, it's going to be a new merger, TKO Group Holdings. Hey, that's going to be awesome, Rory. They pay whoever they think is worthy, Rory says. We're back.
But trouble with the law once again prevents him from capitalizing on the opportunity.
Well, wifey, we got to the apartment and got into a big fight. And the neighbor called the police, and police show up. They were like, "Oh, he's on probation. Go get him." So I'm in jail now.
And I just saw him and that stripper girl a week before, and I warned him about her, and then a week later they got in a big fight and he got arrested, which eventually ended him in the house arrest, and he lost his job. And he had just gotten that was his last shot.
It was.
But guess what's the common denominator? Hanging out with strippers that do drugs and things like that, that's a lot of fun. I like that too. But don't be surprised if it bites you in the ass.
Vince, he's like, "Gosh, I love Marty. I love him. Great guy, but he's got the biggest black cloud over his head." Yeah, I mean, and it's true. When Vince recognizes that, and he's one of the smartest people I've ever met.
He does have a black cloud that follows him around, but he's the one that's, putting it up there. You know what I mean? And keeping it on a leash to follow him, It doesn't have to be that way.
Hold on, time out. Yeah, it's so swollen I can't get the pants leg up. Sometimes when that crap's acting up, then I get like lightheaded. So I was just looking at y'all, I'm like, oh, they're fading out. Oh, shit.
Yeah, his leg's swollen.
I do.
His
do
leg is
worry about
swollen.
him because he's alone, even though he says he has a lot of telephone girlfriends and whatnot.
In the past, in the last years, I would see him and he'd be still trying to getting in the ring and trying to wrestle, and his ankle was horrible. It was ridiculous. I don't even know how he got around. How he was able to walk or anything. His audience now, instead of being out around the ring, is the internet, is Facebook. Yeah.
I think that Facebook makes him feel like he's not housebound, which for the most part he is with his injury.
So you can reach out and touch people. They can, respond to him. You can get reaction from people.
I think his life feeds off of that because of the way we grew up. We grew up wanting that every night, right? And then all of a sudden one day, you see that there's no more of that. And social media is right there.
He sits around and he's trying to think, okay, what can I think of funny for the book? he sits around and tries to come up with a funny story. And those are the ones you know are bullshit.
The post about you and your daughter.
No, I didn't do the post about the daughter thing. That was complete hack. I didn't even see it to know to defend it or anything. But I was hearing all these things like, you wouldn't have sex with your daughter. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I mean, she didn't deserve any of that. I mean, neither did I, but
That's crazy, yeah.
she certainly didn't. I mean, I'm a little wacko on the internet. That's another reason, anything wacky like that is believable because, well, Marty.
There are lots of things that I see Marty post on Facebook, and I'm like, what are you doing? And there was a point where there were a lot of holy shit moments.
So Marty Jannetty is trending on Twitter because he says that he was 13 years old. Someone grabbed him, dragged him to the back of a bowling alley. And then here's a quote from Marty Jannetty on the Facebook post. He said, "That was the very first time I made a man disappear."
One of my sheriff friends, he called me, goes, "What did you do?" And I said, "Are you talking about the post on Facebook?" He goes, "I don't know. I just know they're putting a warrant out to go arrest you."
The Columbus, Georgia Police Department told TMZ, "The first step we'll be seeing if we have any missing persons or unidentified remains cases that match the limited information in the post." I mean, if something happened, it is not out of the realm of possibility that they could solve this crime.
When my friends in Germany are sending me the newspapers, the headlines is Mauler Marty kills man. I mean, what the what happened to the rapist? You were more concerned that a kid just tried to save himself, and it ended up accidentally. It's called accidental deaths for a reason.
Wow. All right, let's continue these amazing questions here. Anyone has a question for me, any at all, by all means, type it in the chat. Rory asks, AEW wants to be like WCW, why don't they bring back Marty? I mean, he can't compete anymore in the ring. His days are numbered now. Roy says they'd pay whoever they think is worthy. So they said Booker T's not worthy to get paid? Thoughts on Dead or Alive? I thought they were a pretty good tag team. Thoughts on Los Boricuas? I found them very amusing, actually. Or yes, will you give away Drew McIntyre Elite figures? They have them at $10 at Wrestling Universe starting today. Well, I've given away Drew McIntyre figures in the past, but I don't know if I did a Elite figure. But I'll look. I may in the future give away more Elite figures, but we'll see. I'll tell you this though, Wrestling Universe, they usually mark up the prices on everything. So if they're selling them for $10, they probably got them for really cheap somewhere. Maybe even there's another website that sells discounted figures too, and they have great sales. I think is it the WrestlingSuperstore.com or something, or it's something else. It's another website. Where can I see without my glasses? Let me see. If I go forward, I can read it. I can't read it from here.
Attempted rape on your person
All right,
as
we're
a
back.
teenager. Did you realize how public this was going to get with it in police involvement?
No, hell no.
Police showed up on his doorstep. I mean, this thing went all the way. They investigated.
I had to deal with police. I was scared to go to the airport. That's the only reason I had to tell that it was a storyline, but, so they would leave me alone.
Let's talk hypothetical.
Okay?
Hypothetical.
Hypothetically, whatever the story was, hypothetically, that this did happen.
Okay.
Tell me the story.
Okay.
Alright, so he went to the same site where it happened, apparently.
So this is the bowling alley. They used to be called Victory Lane. When I was 14, I worked here.
The dude that worked the front desk, but he also was somebody to buy weed from. When I went to buy the weed from the guy, went out in the parking lot and sat in the car. He gave me the bag, and he reached over and he put his hand in my crotch and said, "What's this?" And I smacked his hand. I said, "No, not me." He got a little aggressive off of that. And he chased and grabbed and got me to the back. The big boy, man, he got me down and got on top. And, you know, he was trying to get to my pants, unbutton, you know, take my pants down. I'm got a 200-pound weight on me. So this is as far as I can go, and it's right there. And it was about this size, maybe a touch bigger, maybe.
Like, grabbed the rock.
Like, get off me, you know, I'm just trying to get him off. And evidently I caught him in the wrong place. In the temple that can end your life. You know, I'm thinking, don't know what to do. I mean, do I tell the police? And I thought, go get my family member.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We both agreed, can't call the police. You know, we thought that would be the wrong move. On the other side of the trees, the far back trees, that's Chattahoochee River. So, you know, we gotta get it to the river. This is all hypothetical. Remember that, Columbus Police Department. It's a storyline for wrestling. With what happened in the car, with the grab, and that, I'll give that. That's truth. If you're gonna write a storyline for wrestling, but you take something that happened and you magnify it. I mean, I see now that was too much of a storyline. They did a missing persons, they didn't find nobody. So, I mean, that should be the end of it.
No body, no crime. For Marty.
So they have no evidence that it happened.
I love Marty dearly, and I just want him to be happy. I fear that he's going to be alone, because this becomes your life, you know? And now what do you do when you got to keep going on living, but your life died?
Marty, we love you. Keep your hands off my wife. The future is bright, Marty. Give it a chance. There are people that love you out there.
I'm one of them, and I had thought about maybe flashing you, Marty, but I'm mic'd up, so you're missing out.
There's a thing in the wrestling business about, you know, oh, I don't want to be the Marty Jannetty of the team. Let me tell you something. You'd be lucky if you were, because there would certainly not be a Shawn Michaels at the level that Shawn Michaels was if it was not for Marty Jannetty.
How do you feel about Shawn Michaels today?
I love him to death. I mean, there was 7 years of undeniably the best relationship two people could have. And then, you know, from ever since the phone call, he's been great again. So, yeah, I love him to death. You know.
He and I worked together, 24 hours a day for 7 years. You know, I mean, for all that time, for us to get in maybe one fight is not bad at all.
Can't hold something from this in your rearview mirror out in front of the street, you know, in front of you, that's back there. You know, on the real side of it, I didn't drag him to the river. One of my buddies, we drug him over the woods and poured gas on him and burned him up.
Jeez.
And maybe I even heard that if they burn, they don't burn as much as you think they would, and there's a lot of bones, so you got to bury them.
That is the story that he told me, yes.
And when did he tell you that?
When we were partners.
So this is in the 90s he told you this?
Yeah.
Now, you told us that Marty tells a lot of big stories, and 99% of the time we should take it with a grain of salt. This story is not a lie? You think this is true?
This is absolutely true. He told me a long time ago that did happen, yes.
Wow.
Because I can look at him in the face, and I can listen to the story and tell when he's telling the truth and when he's not, you know?
So is it possible that this storyline explanation has to do with the fact that you don't?
You got as much as you can get.
Yeah.
That's as much as I can give you. Hypothetically or not, there it is. Sometimes you gotta look through the smoke. Smoke and mirrors does a lot.
Hypothetically. But you know, Marty Jannetty, would he have been able to claim that it was self-defense in this matter? I don't know, though. Yes, I am nearsighted, yes. The best fan are me and Boots buying WrestleMania tickets this week. Whenever they go on sale, I think we'll buy tickets for night 2. Night 1, I'll live stream. Will I buy... Rory asks, do I think he really killed that man? I don't know, honestly. I mean, maybe he did. And Rory asks, will I buy any of merch from Brett's site? Possibly, yeah. I mean, it looks pretty legit. Do I feel he deserves prison time? If it is true, then yes. Only if it's true, though. Whereas, name 5 AEW wrestlers you'd want to meet. Personally, I'd say Chris Jericho, Wardlow, Darby Allin, Sting, and Jade Cargill. And Rory asks, who are 3 wrestlers from WCW you'd pay to meet and why? I'd say Hulk Hogan. I'd say Goldberg and Kevin Nash, because I feel like they're all legends and they all have a story to tell. Or yes, 4 wrestlers from the current WWE rosters you would meet. I would love to meet Brock Lesnar. I would love to meet Charlotte Flair. Also, let me see who else I would like to meet. Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. If they're using HBK clip from another interview, they have to ask for permission wherever conduct an interview, and they need to pay HBK for having his answer shown on TV. I mean, yeah, that goes with the territory if you're going to use footage like that. Welcome back, Mike Harper. Oh, yeah, best fan. You're playing big parties for WrestleMania week. That's awesome. Garrett says, name 5 wrestlers who you would want to meet at this year at Grand Slam. Meet personally? Yeah, Chris Jericho, Darby Allin, Sting, Jade Cargill, and Dean Ambrose. John Moxley, rather. What are your top 3 wrestling shirts you own? An original Austin 316 shirt, an original D-Generation X shirt, and a Brock Lesnar Suplex City shirt. Oh, Jade Cargill may leave the WWE. That would be great. She's got WWE written all over her. Do I want to meet Rosa? Sure. Thunder Rosa, yeah. I'd say maybe WrestleMania 40 if there's gonna be a WrestleCon. Maybe I'll meet her there. I don't know, but we'll see. Would you go to a Sting retirement show? Roy says. Yeah, Sting's a legend. Sting is a legend. At least Matt chose one chick. Rory just wants to meet dudes. Hey, yeah. Well, Danny will meet all the chicks. That's good. You have to meet Rosa after she eats tacos. Yeah. My interview with Thunder Rosa was fascinating. Best fan? Well, that's great. What would you like about it? You met Sting when he was in TNA. Roy, was he a nice guy? That was my only second interview, by the way. So and thanks to Rory was able to procure that for me, that interview. Oh, Nash was nice too. Best fan said how she seemed to be distracted and on drugs. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, honestly. To be honest, it was a... I'd say anyone could watch that interview and say that there's something not right here going on. But there are some good elements to it, I'm sure. And again, it's my second interview of all time. And I was pretty green interviewing people. So it wasn't like I knew exactly what I was doing when I was interviewing Thunder Rosa, because I had prepared like 30 questions or so to ask, and I thought I was overestimating. Like I was like, oh, this is too many questions. I doubt we'll get through them, but we were getting through them within minutes, like 15 minutes. I think I've already was going through all my questions, and the last like 5 or 10 minutes was me just ad-libbing, trying to figure out what else I was going to ask. But yeah, like a lot of her answers were very short, straight to the point. Well, Best Fan said, you did fine. She wouldn't provide any details on anything. That is true, actually. Yeah, she didn't go into detail on just about anything. Like, her answers were very straight to the point. Some of them were vague. But yeah, like I was going through questions like fast, and I was running out of questions. And the last 5 or 10 minutes, I was trying to make it last longer, as long as I could, and yeah, I mean, that's what I got out of it. But again, it was only my second interview, My first interview was with Oski, the Mayan warrior, which Rory helped me get too. And with him, like, I would ask him a question and he'd give an answer that was like 5-10 minutes long. Like, very detailed answers. And so I was coming from that interview to Thunder Rosa was completely the exact opposite. What made you start doing Q&As, Rory says. Well, Rory, you gave me the idea to do it, and it's a great idea. Oh, thank you, Garrett. Well, I'm not really blaming myself. I didn't know what to expect. So I think in the future, I would literally line up like as many questions as I could possibly line up and take it from there. Like, I would line up like all kinds of questions just in case if we got another interview and the wrestler was unwilling to give a lot of details. You had like 25 questions ready for Rosa, Rory? Do you feel it was like that since it was a free interview? That could have been it too. I mean, yeah, I mean, that was another thing too. It was a free interview. I can't complain about it, honestly. It was free. I didn't pay anything. I don't think Roy paid anything for it. So, you know, I can't complain. Plus, she was an AEW wrestler, AEW Women's Champion at one time. You know, like, she was at the top. Key thing when doing interviews, don't do yes or no questions, Rory says. Don't do yes or no questions. Okay. Danny was on as a guest on Paranormal Highway YouTube channel. Oh, awesome, Danny. Garrett asks, how did it feel to be on an interview about keto? I thought it was okay. You know, it was no preparation needed because everything's up here, you know, everything about keto. So something I'm passionate about, I could just go on and just talk about. Same thing with wrestling too. Like, I don't need any preparation for wrestling as well. I could just go on and talk about wrestling for hours on end. So oh, you did? Yeah, right. What did it mean to you interviewing her despite it being short? To me, it meant that I was really taking a step out of my comfort zone because I was going to be interviewing someone who had some credentials and who was actually in the mix, you know, and I didn't have much preparation for it. I didn't know what to expect, really, but I came in trying to get as much information as possible out, and now I know. Yeah, now I know. Come with more questions. And like Rory said too, don't ask any yes or no questions. Yeah, Rory. You call your Rosa interview short? It was 20 minutes. I waited 2 years for one interview with Derek Jeter. It lasted 13 seconds. Wow. Well, you know... Well, you know, I know it wasn't a short interview by any stretch of the imagination, 20 minutes. It wasn't short. However, about half of that interview was ad-libbed because I ran through all my questions and I was searching for questions on the chat too. And not many questions were in the chat as well. So I was really trying to prolong it as much as I could. You got a signed baseball as an apology from Yankees. Wow. That's awesome, Rory. But yeah, there'll be more interviews, I'm sure, in the future when I get an opportunity. Absolutely, there'll be more interviews. And it should be interesting, to say the least. All right, guys, so I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you all be safe and be well, each and every one of you. And I'll catch you guys next time on the live stream. Be safe, be well, everybody. Oh, Rory Oski set the standard. He was a very professional interview, and he set the standard for what you would love for a wrestler to respond with, which is a lot of detail and really be thorough about your answering. So he really set the standard there, and then, but it was the complete opposite from Oski to Thunder Rosa, complete polar opposites, where I wasn't prepared to try to draw out information because Oski was so giving with his information. I wasn't seasoned enough to ask in a way to draw out more info. You know what I mean? Oski's Rosa's best friend. Oh, wow. Have you ever been trying to find a 3 wrestler interview for years? Oh, yeah, Garrett. That's the thing. Like, I haven't had a lot of time to do interviews. However, I will, when I have more free time, I will be searching for more interviews. Absolutely. So, Moxley. But yeah, that's basically it, you know. All right, guys, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you all be safe, be well, each and every one of you. I'll catch you next time on the live stream. Have a great night, everybody. MATTROISE signing out. Be safe and be well. Yeah, I know, Roy. I know most of the wrestlers want money. All right, Garrett. Have a great night, bro. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, you would need the budget for that too. I haven't put any budget aside for interviews, so that's another thing that I would have to consider. So. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Well, have a great night, guys. Be safe, be well. MATTROISE signing out. Good night, everybody.